Hello everyone, hope you are quite well. Today I will explain hormonal regulation of oogenesis to you. I am sure you will be highly benefited from it. No more delay, let's get started. Here I have prepared one graphical presentation of that hormonal regulation of oogenesis in a step-like manner. Okay, at the top you can see hypothalamus. What is hypothalamus? This is the supreme commander of our body for all the hormonal regulation. So here you can see hypothalamus, it produces GnRH. The GnRH in turn stimulate the anterior pituitary, which produces two hormones. One is LH on the right side and the other is FSH. LH luteinizing hormone and FSH is the follicle stimulating hormone. Okay, so what it does, what follicle stimulating hormone does, as the name suggests, follicle stimulating hormone, so means it stimulate the follicle to grow. So here you can see in the orange color, the smaller one, this is a oogonium, a very early stage of a mature follicle. So this follicle stimulating hormone, it stimulates this oogonium to form primordial follicle and then to growing follicle, and at last it forms a Graafian follicle, a mature follicle which is supposed to release its ova for reproduction. Okay, here you can see one term I have mentioned in red. This is ovulation. What is ovulation? Ovulation is a process, is a incident which happens in the female body as they produces a mature ova, which in turn in later course will be fertilized by a sperm and produces the embryo. Okay, so here you can see the Graafian follicle, it releases the ova and it forms a corpus luteum. But let me tell you one thing, it's not directly from Graafian follicle, it is not forming corpus luteum. Okay, just after the release of that ova from that Graafian follicle, the Graafian follicle is filled with blood and it produces corpus hemorrhagicum. Okay, this corpus hemorrhagicum, then it forms corpus albicans. Corpus albicans is just a scar like thing that remains inside the ovary when there is no more need of all the hormone that the corpus luteum produces. Okay, so let me go deep inside it. So you can see as it is developing, it produces estrogen. I have mentioned in the green color. Okay, the ovarian, it produces very less amount of estrogen as it's growing from that primordial follicle to growing follicle, and the Graafian follicle, it produces much more amount of estrogen. So this estrogen, when it is producing, it gives a negative feedback, it gives a negative impact to the FSH. Look, here I have written high level of estrogen suppresses FSH synthesis. When there is absolute high amount of estrogen, it tells the anterior pituitary that you please stop producing FSH. Okay, so there is no more FSH. And on this side you can see LH, luteinizing hormone, LH promotes ovulation. Ovulation happens on the 14th day. Ovulation is a 28-day cycle. On the 14th day, the ova releases. It is supposed to get fertilized by a sperm, and then it stays there. This corpus luteum, it stays there until 28 days. Okay, so what happens after ovulation? This corpus luteum, it produces three types of hormone. One is inhibin, progesterone and estrogen. Inhibin, what it does, as the name suggests, it inhibits, it suppresses something. What it suppresses? It gives a negative feedback to FSH. So FSH got two negative impact, one from estrogen and one from inhibin. And progesterone, it gives negative impact to the GnRH, negative feedback to GnRH to stop the production of GnRH. And progesterone, it also develops the endometrium. Endometrium means it is the wall of the uterus of the female where the fertilized ova, or in form you can say the zygote, it gets a chance to sit there and to grow into a mature baby. Okay, and there is very little amount of estrogen. So here you can see I have written something. There is one very interesting thing as you all know that only the females are the god gifted one who get the chance to carry a baby, who got the chance to bring a new organism in the baby. Okay, so the whole process, it is very interesting and everyone should have a good knowledge about it. Okay, so here you can see the corpus luteum, it stays there inside the ovary until, if there is no fertilization, until that it turns into corpus albicans. So for 28 days this corpus luteum stays there, it produces inhibin, progesterone and estrogen. If there is no fertilization, it changes to corpus albicans. Okay, so that is a generalized view, you can see it. So I want to tell you something, some recent studies, some recent researches has been done, has been conducted to tell you something, some new hormonal role on this whole process of oogenesis. Okay, at the top corner you can see kisspeptin. What is kisspeptin? Kisspeptin is a neuropeptide. I have mentioned here neuropeptide means it's a peptide hormone. Okay, that have some neural origin. So that neuropeptide, it is a gateway. It is an activator of this hypothalamus to release GnRH. So what is GnRH? It starts at the puberty, at the very start of this female cycle, this ovarian cycle, menstrual cycle. Okay, it tells the hypothalamus to produces GnRH, and what it does, it leads to the normal flow, normal sequence of all the incidents. Okay, throughout the life cycle of the woman. Okay, and you know the first menstrual cycle, or the first release of the ovary, it's called as menarche, and at the end of 40 or 42 age, when there is permanent stoppage on this ovarian cycle, we call it as menopause. So kisspeptin is a key regulator to start this GnRH, to stimulate the secretion of GnRH. Okay, this is not very much important for the class 12 students, but those who are studying zoology and absolutely physiology for the higher classes, for the graduation, they can take it from here. Okay, and there is two things, theca cells and granulosa cells. What are these two? You know, the ovary, inside the ovary there is the Graafian follicle. It is very vascularized, very well developed. You can see the size of it, it's quite bigger than the earlier counterpart. Okay, so what happened when the Graafian follicle is totally developed, it generally carries two types of cell. One is that granulosa cell and one is theca cells. What they does, they transform something to produce estrogen. So what is that something? That something is our cholesterol. They changes the cholesterol into something called as pregnenolone to produce our estrogen. This granulosa cells generally produces the synthesizes the estrogen. Okay, and there is one sort of hormone, not hormone, sorry, it's a enzyme called as aromatase, which is filled inside this cavity, the antral cavity of this Graafian follicle, which changes that androgen or that pregnenolone to produces our estrogen. Okay, so look, estrogen have a, when the high level of estrogen, it have a negative impact to FSH, and it also gives a positive feedback, positive push to the LH. Okay, as it's been mentioned in the hormonal regulation of menstrual cycle, that what happens, that clicks the ovulation, that clicks the release of ova on the 14th day. Okay, it is an LH surge. You can see the its negative impact is stopping LH, but stopping FSH, but LH is normally functioning, and as the high amount of estrogen, it also gives a positive feedback, positive impact to this LH. So all these forces gives a high surge in this LH, and that causes the rupture of the follicle, of the Graafian follicle, and the ova is released. Okay, so and what is PCOS? If there is very less regarding this kisspeptin, if there is very less amount of secretion of kisspeptin or inappropriate secretion of kisspeptin or any changes in the gene of this kisspeptin, kiss gene actually. So it leads to that polycystic ovarian syndrome in the female. Okay, so that's it for today. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. And absolutely, if you do like my videos, do subscribe and do share it. Okay, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.